Welcome to the Metal Command Show. I have a really awesome guest with me today. It's Fredrik Nordström from Dream Evil, and of course, somebody who has produced and mixed quite a few great records over the years. I've followed you since the beginning of this show 26 years ago. So, ironically, what's funny is that anytime I've ever had a chance to interview you, some kind of conflict would come up, usually on my end, and I was never able to do it. So now, I'm really excited to have you on my show finally after all this time.
Thank you. Yes, probably this is going to be a lot of fun. So
it is, absolutely. It's funny because I remember Dream Evil when the first album came out. I remember getting the first record, the CD sent to the radio station way back in the day, and I've pretty much followed what you've done, with this band since then. This new album, I think, is fantastic, and let's talk about that, because I would probably consider this one probably easily one of the better albums, maybe the top 2 or 3 that you've ever done with this band. And talk about the new album you have that has come out.
Yeah, actually, to be honest, we did the album 6, and the band felt like we can do better than this. This is not a good album. So then we get a new drummer in the band, and we also felt like, we want to have him in the band on an album that we doing good together. So we actually spent several years writing music for this album. So this was not the fast one.
No.
And we also decided to go back to my studio and record it instead of, like we did on the 2 previous albums. Everybody did like home recording, and I reamped guitars in the studio. So we went back and did it like the old-fashioned way.
Yeah. Yeah, I would, it's interesting because I remember when the debut came out, and I remember the early days of the band, because you had Gus G in the band, Snowy Shaw was in the band. You had practically like this all-star lineup, as far as musicians go. And I really, the one thing about this record that really resonated a lot with me is when I remember hearing the promo probably maybe a month ago, and I thought the production and the sound of the album is probably, in my opinion, it could be the best sounding album you've ever produced for this band. And did going back in the studio have a big effect on that, instead of everybody doing their own like kind of individual thing, and then maybe you mix it and go from there?
Yes. Yeah. Also, like our singer, he was always complaining about, it's so hard to stand in my basement recording vocals. I get no feedback. And also, it's like with the guitars, it took ages when people are recording. People, I think it's like, you never get satisfied, if you understand what I mean. So you need somebody, come on, let's go. This is good. And move on, and that's my kind of job.
Yeah.
And and have some fun. Me and other guitar player together, also like creative stuff in the studio. And this album recording was an easygoing one. We decided 1st of October start recording, end of October end of recording.
Yeah.
That's the time frame, and let's do it now.
Yeah, and I think like the quality of the performances and the songwriting and everything. I've always been somebody that's always been an advocate of, you need that other person, that producer, to really kind of push people, push their performance. Usually, in this case, you are a record producer, but you also are in the band as well, and you're able to kind of push these guys. Because I'll be honest with you. I would say the performance on this album, I think everything about it, I think going in and recording it the way that you did, I think the end result is a lot better because of that. And I think sometimes bands, I could tell you that doing this show, I get a lot of bands that have been around a while that you'll get a record by, and they they don't really have a producer to kind of do it themselves, and I think they lose a little something because of that.
Yeah, but it's just that things like if you like, that's took me many years to learn. It's just like drop it. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's fine. That's awesome. If there is something in after a while that you feel like okay, let's do it again then. And it's I've been there so many times. It's like musicians are like, oh, I don't really like this. I want to do it again, and then you spend like 2-3 hours of recording a fucking small little riff, and it's just worse and worse and worse. So I think it's important that you drop stuff and go on because it's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's maybe you're not perfectly performed it, but it's good and it's have energy in there. And if you overdo every stuff and redo and redo and redo, you lose the energy. So I heard like the ABBA producer in an interview, and he said like the best takes is 2, 3, maybe 4.
Yeah.
So, and that's kind of my job. If you're a musician, you can sit there for ages and it never ends.